Do you want to go to war, Malaki? I'm for real. AA Ron. Where is AA Ron right now?
AA Ron right here. Happy Monday, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Have you ever wondered why Steven Spielberg will not work with Tom Cruise anymore? They worked together on Minority Report in 2002. They worked together on War of the Worlds in 2005. They've never worked together again. And Steven Spielberg has a history of working with the same actors on projects over and over and over again. It's something that has worked out very well for him. So why won't he work with the world's most bankable movie star ever again? And if you think it's because Tom made a giant ass out of himself in 2005 during the War of the Worlds media promotion, that's when Tom assumed his ultimate role as Tom Cruise super Scientologist, butt of all jokes, known as Crazy Tom Cruise. And if you think that is the reason, well, it is not. I finished listening to Mike Rinder's new book, A Billion Years. I listened to it on Audible. Mike Rinder does his own narration. And Mike discusses what David Miscavige, Scientology, tried to do to Steven Spielberg, and more specifically, his son. And it is unbelievable. I'm gonna play you a segment out of the audiobook where he discusses it. And I'm talking, of course, of Mike Rinder. Most of you will know him as the co-host of the television show Leah Remini's Scientology and the Aftermath. For those of you not familiar with him, Mike Rinder is one of the most senior executives to ever defect from Scientology and blow the whistle. At one point, Mike held the senior most management position in Scientology's international organizational structure. His perspective is incredibly unique. Listen to what Mike has to say here about what happened with Steven Spielberg.
In mid-2001, while shooting Minority Report, Cruise made efforts to bring the movie's director, Steven Spielberg, into the fold. Cruise informed Miscavige that Spielberg was psych-influenced because his children were seeing a psychiatrist. Shortly thereafter, the Scientology front group, Citizens Commission on Human Rights, picketed Spielberg's kids' psychiatrist's office in the Westwood neighborhood of Los Angeles. When their mother, Kate Capshaw, saw the picketers and realized Scientology was behind them, she promptly told her husband, who brought it up to Cruise as unappreciated and inappropriate. Though the action had been very deliberate and coordinated beforehand, when it blew up, Miscavige did what he always did. He found a scapegoat and claimed they had been acting without authorization. He assured Cruise, and in turn Spielberg, that this had been taken care of.
That is unbelievable. The way Mike tells that story, where Kate Capshaw, Spielberg's wife, saw the protesters. To me, that means she was dropping her son off for an appointment with his therapist, and she shows up and sees a posse of Scientologist lunatics protesting outside of her son's therapist's office. I mean, you want to talk about an awkward conversation? Like, what? How do you even explain how that came about? Like, oh, I'm sorry, I was talking about you to my BFF, David Miscavige. Yeah, you know, the guy who runs Scientology. Yeah, we were talking about you, man. We were talking about you, and sorry about that. And in fact, listening to this again now, I hear that he says this was during Minority Report. I actually thought this was during War of the Worlds. So if this occurred in 2002, it's actually stunning that Spielberg did work with Tom Cruise again on War of the Worlds in 2005. And perhaps it's a combination of, you know, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. They do Minority Report. Spielberg ends up with people protesting outside of his son's therapist's office. Then they do War of the Worlds. And Tom Cruise spends the entire media tour talking about Scientology and making an ass out of himself. I believe it is a combination of these two experiences back to back that is the reason Spielberg does not work with Tom anymore. Now, the next clip I have to play for you is what Tom and David Miscavige did at the Int Base to try to woo David Beckham and his wife into Scientology. Check this out.
Cruise was doing his best to court celebrities other than those with whom he was working on films. Perhaps the most famous were David and Victoria Beckham. Their friendship with Cruise was covered extensively in the media, while behind the scenes a more bizarre scenario was playing out. A professional-grade soccer pitch was constructed on the property at Gold. The ground was level, irrigation installed, perfect turf laid, goals raised, A full-time caretaker was appointed from the Gold staff. Of course, nobody working at the property had time to play soccer. It was built for one purpose only, so Tom Cruise could woo his friend David to come to Gold. It never happened. The soccer field remains to this day like a failed field of dreams. They built it, but no one has come.
How shallow do you have to be to think that David Beckham is going to join Scientology because of a soccer field? You've got one of the world's best soccer players of all time. He's played on all the most prestigious and famous soccer pitches all over the world. But like, hey David, you want to join my cool Scientology club? Me and my buddy Dave, we built you a soccer field. Like, to me, that's insulting to David Beckham. First of all, asking someone to visit the International Management Base is a really weird way to try to interest someone in Scientology. Like, the base is creepy as shit if you're a non-Scientologist. There's nothing happening at that base that's gonna go, oh wow, Scientology's for me. I mean, that's what the Celebrity Center is for in Los Angeles, is to have a place that's super pimped out and fancy and everything's designed to cater to celebrities. The International Management Base is not intended to cater not only to celebrities, to anyone. Nobody does their Scientology services at the International Base except for Tom Cruise. So to me, Tom trying to bring David up there and impress him with a soccer field isn't even just about bringing David into Scientology. It's about bringing David into his little exclusive club. Tom Cruise sees himself as like a special big being that he and David Miscavige, as like this little dynamic duo, are uniquely responsible for saving Earth, and he wanted to bring David into his little super action hero club. I mean, that's how the story reads to me. So anyway, just two interesting little excerpts from this book. If you have not yet read or listened to this book, and if you have any interest in Scientology whatsoever, if you thought Going Clear was interesting, if you thought Scientology in the Aftermath was interesting, you got to read this book. I'd already read the first rough draft of this book, and the final version still completely blew me away. I can't recommend it highly enough. All right, everyone, that's all I have on this. There's another video I'm trying to get done today. Hopefully I'll be able to. The Danny Masterson criminal trial starts tomorrow, Tuesday. Jury selection is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No court Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Opening statements are expected on Monday. So stay tuned for that and much, much more. Thank you for watching. Thanks to everyone who watches until the very end, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click right inside here. If you have subscribed or not, subscribe.